My, how lighting has changed. Gosh, I feel old. Let's break down a commercial from 2007 and see just how different the lighting practices were back then versus how they are now. How much have they changed? Hi, I'm Steven. I've shot hundreds of commercials and thousands of setups, and I break down lighting in videos so you don't have to. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is a Bissell commercial from 2007, and right off the bat, here's the wide shot, right? So you got yourself a side push, right? But what does that mean? Well, you can see right here that it's hitting your nose and it's hitting the side of the face. You can see this dark spot right here. So let's check it out one more time. You're hitting your nose, you're hitting the face, and you're hitting that. And it's doing this, and it's doing that, doing a little bit of this. But the rest of it, you got, the rest of it, darkness, 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 darkness. There's a whole strip of it right here in the middle, right there. And then you get light again. And then you get light again right there. So you have this strip of darkness right here in the middle, right? So they had a soft source. Why did I do that? They have some type of a soft source. It might be a frame, might be some rag. I am not sure because the resolution of this is pretty bad. I can't believe. It's pretty bad. This is like SD quality. I think they made the switch to HD. It depends. It depends. Like 2009 to 2013 is kind of like the range. Anyway, so you have this side push, right? And then you have this kick over here. Well, I think this is coming from this window. And I want to say that this is it a set? It's kind of hard to tell. Because of given the hot spots, I want to say that this is real. And that's real sunlight hitting back there, but it could also just be a backdrop on a set. But because it's so bright, back then they didn't have LEDs, so it was all tungsten or HMI. So because it's so bright, I'm gonna say that this is on location somewhere. Like I think that's a real tree. Anyway, so they have, what this means is they have a single source on one side, and maybe they have like some fill cards, but it's not doing very much. In fact, I guarantee you they have fill cards, because do you see how dark this is? You see how dark this is? How dark this elbow is versus the face. The face is a little lighter, especially a little lighter than this. And this is freaking white, okay? And her face is lighter than that. So they might even be poking a little hard light right at the face. Who knows? It's really hard to tell. With less resolution, it's harder to spot sources. But I think I'm doing pretty good here. So let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, they got a dolly. That's nice. By the way, I'm not going to break down camera moves. That's not my thing. Like, other people can do that. You know, camera's easy, right? Lighting, that's the invisible part. Let's check this out. Boom. Okay. There's a little hot spot right there. Where do you think that's coming from? That's coming from the source. And it's coming from the same source. Oh, this is a different setup. Still, they chose to do, let's try a different color. It's coming from the side. Boom, 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 boom. And it's 90 degrees. By the way, the previous source was also 90 degrees. So this is important. This is literally 90 degrees. If you were to draw a line from camera to our person, and then from camera to the person, make a straight line, bro. And you have 90 degrees right there. That's this direction, and that's the direction of the source. Why? Why would you shoot 90 degrees? Because it gives you the most contrast, and contrast is what makes the image pop to the brain. Unfortunately, you don't want extreme contrast. In this case, this, by today's standards, is ugly. I'm not making fun of it, I'm just pointing that out. It is, I wouldn't say super ugly, it's super contrasty for the material. Bissell is not a dramatic brand. They are a commercial and beautiful brand. Let's move on. All right, so let's go back to this shot right here. This is just that side light, and I want to say they even have This is the window over here. See how blue that is? That's window light. There's no way they're working with tungsten or HMI. There's no way that they're going to color one of those sources just for artistic sake. I mean, they could, but why? So window light right here, and then this is probably a Joker or an Ari Max, Ari Sun, an Ari Sun or whatever. Anyway, moving on. By the way, how do I know that they only use that? Because do you see all this shadow right here? It's the same situation as before. All of that shadow. They have no fill cards. It's just literally a source right here, and then there's nothing else. And then there just happens to be a window. They might have placed them there so they can get this kick, but that's it. And so that's pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh. Yeah. That's cool. Where you can see the dust. That's freaking awesome. They may or may not have placed this sunlight here. I would have. In fact, I can guarantee you that they did, because it gives you this nice dapple back here, but more importantly, it's lighting up all of these little things. And they need to place that light in a position low enough so that it will hit all that stuff. And so it may be that this is the same source, or you have one source back here for the background, and then you have a second source specifically for this foreground. That's the way I would have done it. So this, by today's standards, there's nothing. I mean, this hasn't changed. This is great. They did a great job here. They did a great job with this commercial. It's just now when you have these LEDs and you have which are cheaper than the HMI equivalent. So when you take that into account, the cheaper gear, and you have cameras that have higher ISO performance, you can make smaller sources act much bigger. You can make them really bright sources. Now, in a daylight situation where you're on location, you can't, but in a situation where instead of renting one HMI or maybe two, you can have like 4 large LED lights. That is a big difference, and it allows you to make your softer sources. So this shot right here is it's straight to the face. This isn't, I don't know if this is skylight, man. I think that this is it may be an electric light. It just depends, because back then you also had a bigger crew. And so, because commercials are made cheaper now, they could have stuck like an HMI to the face, but I think that more likely, because you can see how white this is and you see how warm her face is, I would say that they probably took like an ultra bounce, or maybe a Grifflin. Anybody remember that? Griff. It's called a Griff for short, but it's a Grifflin, I think. It's named after the company that they bought the material from, Grifflin. Anyway, it's like an ultra bounce, but it's a tarp material, and it's a ripstop tarp material, and it's got black on one side, white on the other side, and it's literally a laminated plastic over. You see these things, these striations. It's like a cord. That's the ripstop material. So it's laminated over that cord. So it's literally a tarp, and it's very shiny, specular. And so they would take Grifflin and straight to the face. You just take that sunlight, hit the Griff, and straight to the face. That's what I would have done in this situation back in the day, whenever I didn't, maybe it's too much time to move an electric light out there. They had it outside the window. I'm sure it's fine, but moving on. This is very cute. Okay, so, this is just an extension of this shot. So right here you have, is that a hard light? Let's look at the shadow. So you got a shadow. This is a strong shadow. That's a sharp shadow. Sharp shadow. This is literally a hard light. Doing all of that. It's doing all of that. It's just a hard light. Ooh. Ooh. Now, it might not be like straight bare bulb, because HMIs have like an HMI fixture, and then you have the little reflector, then you have the base. Then you have the bulb. The light comes from that little dot. Little dot. Actually, the HMI is, well, it depends. I guess it depends on what kind it is, right? Some of them are double-ended, but it doesn't matter. You have your bulb, and then you have your cathode and anode, and there's a little dot. And that's what creates, that right there creates the light. Now the light hits the reflector, but the brightest part is still this little dot. And so that little dot makes shadows super sharp. So how do you get around having an unnaturally super sharp source? You throw some light diffusion in front of it, like an opal or maybe a 251 if they had that back then. I don't know. I'm sure they did. I'm making fun of you guys. Don't get mad. Oh my gosh, you geezers. All right, moving on. But this is straight up a hard light, just right up on her. Moving on. Oh, okay, so you have a moving light. That's really cool. That's cool. That's unconventional. That's awesome. That's so freaking badass. So how did they do this? How did they do this? Well, I'll show you. That right there is done in studio. Oh, come on, man. Let's pick something that shows up. Come on. All right. So this, I'm pretty sure this was done in studio. This is probably honestly, I don't know. It could be a 4x4 frame, but then you'd have to up and down it. It could be a, geez, what could it be? Could it be a Kino flow on like a menace arm that like an operator like armed it up, or didn't arm it up, you armed it down, and that's what created that. If you want that, you could figure out how to do that. That's cool, man. Yeah, I think they had it on something. Anyway, so besides the obvious source right there, which is also creating a glare on the product, I was taught not to make large, obtrusive glares on products, and so this would be a no-no by at least the standard that I was taught by. But it does show all of this little texture in here. Here's the thing. So how do you see this stuff? How are you supposed to see in there? Well, first off, let's look at how they did this. So they just have that one thing. I think that's it, because the rest of this is just dark. Literally, it's just darkness. And then they have something over here. This is getting lit. So whatever this is, yeah, you can see there's a source right there that's doing this. And I think that if this was done on a cyc wall, then you have the entire background that's already lit to begin with, which is probably what this is behind here, because this would be easy to do in studio. And so if your cyc walls, for some reason this side is brighter than that side, who knows why. Maybe the cyc lights were working over here, but they weren't working over here. And so what you have is like the cyc light is hitting back here, and this is just bounce bleed. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Absolutely. Anyway, so what this is probably just that cyc light hitting here and it's creating, oh wait. Yes, I think it's this, because see this shadow is made by this. So I think this and this are a part of the same uninterrupted source. It might even be that the cyc wall curves. And then, so they might have just had a curve over here, then they added this source. Anyway, but this black spot, again, not good for the product. It's too dramatic, right? Right. And by today's standards, by what I was taught, this crap is too bright. I mean, this crap is too black, and this crap is too bright. Don't do that. So how would you do that in this situation? You surround the entire product in white. I mean, literally, you create a half dome of white. And then you can have a little cutout for the camera, in which case you could use like cards on either side to construct that, or you could use 12 by 12 frames, or it could be smaller. It could be 6 by 6. Doesn't matter. So long as the product sees white, it doesn't matter what you use. Of course, the smaller the frames, the closer you have to get. So there's that. And then on one side, you light it up and you just make it bright. And then it'll slowly taper off and slowly taper off and slowly taper off. And because you've surrounded the product in white, this source is going to bounce over here and it's going to bounce back. And it's going to bounce over here and it's going to bounce back. And it will just keep doing that. It's like a chain reaction. And it'll create this beautiful fall off from this bright source all the way around here, and it'll just get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and that'll create that wonderful, wonderful fall off. That's how I would have done it. But times have changed. Whatever. It's 2007. Oh, they had it on a rotisserie too. They had the dang product on a rotisserie. That's cool beans. Okay, so this shot right here is... All right, so some of you might have seen from like photographers or other videographers or like some body, especially like older videos, older interviews, where they key the person from one side, where they would key the person from one side with like a source, which is what I think might be happening here. Maybe not. But they would key the person from one side and then they would fill underneath the face with the giant white card. When does a white source ever just appear underneath your eyes and disappear everywhere else? That is an unnatural source, and it stems from, I think it stems from back in the day when film stocks were less sensitive, and so you would need to add white to fill in the shadows, which would otherwise dip to black. So like say this would on some film stocks maybe, or like the processes afterwards. Either way, back in the film days, shadows like right here, see all this, how that just dies? They don't want that to happen to her skin. They want to see beautiful skin, so they throw a white card underneath here. Well, you don't have to do that today anymore because the sensor, the camera sensor, sees so much detail and it can see so much better. At least it may or may not see so much better, but it can see a lot of detail. Because if you look at old movies, the blacks are crushed, right? But if you look at new movies made with film stock, like the Christopher Nolan's, any of his movies actually, they're all film. The detail is in the shadows. So it's the new processes that they have that allow you to see that. So back in the day, whatever processes they had, it just took a crap on the blacks and just killed them. And so I'm not a film expert, but that's ultimately the end result. And so to mitigate that, they would have to bring in a white card in order to fill in so the face didn't dip into complete blackness, especially women. In this case here, they've done something similar to that. So you can see the catch light in the eye. You can see it right there. They have a white card right there. And it's filling in under the chin, and it's creating that unnatural under source. So there is something hitting this. It might just be the sunlight. Hell, you know what? I bet you, no, it's not. It's not the sunlight. Even though it's coming in here, it's not hitting her hair. It's not hitting her shoulders or anything. But you can see there's light right there. You can see how this cup is lit up. You can see her fingers are lit up. The bottom of her hand is lit up, and most importantly, you have this source here. It's doing all of that stuff down here, plus it's lighting up her cheek and all of this, and it's leaving this atrocious shadow right there. It's leaving this atrocious shadow right there. That's shadow. This is shadow, and then it picks back up with light right under the eye, and the bottom of the eye right there. So you can see it. There's light, and there's shadow. Underlit faces, first off, are not beautiful. They're just not. It's not what we are used to seeing. That's why horror movies underlight faces. Like you put a little flashlight right there and they're like, ooh, I'm going to tell you a spooky story, and it looks creepy. First off, it's not beautiful. Secondly, it's not natural. There's no reason for there to be a source down here and not anywhere else. Now, I think that maybe there was something over here at one point, but not anymore. Maybe I don't freaking know. I have no idea why. Why would you do that? Who is the shooter on this? Now, you see how this side of the face is lit and this side of the face is lit? This one is brighter. So I think that they had a card. I think they had a card here, and maybe they were poking a light right here, and it lit up this side, and then it just kind of tapered off over here. That's one. Or they have a card over here that they shot into with the light, and then they have another card over here that's just fill. I don't know, but that's what they did. And if you tried to do that on a beauty show, oh my gosh, you will not ever get hired ever again. Holy nuts. But this is an older show. Boom. What is that? What is that? It is straight up. It's just straight up a hard light. Look at that. Boom. Where's this coming from? Boom. Right up there. You can even see a glare right there. There's a glare. There's a perfect one. And oh, there you go. Boom. Yeah, there's a source right up here going. Again, not pretty. Make it soft. Why? Because you can, and because you should if you want to show off the details of the product without blinding parts of it, right? You don't want there to be hot spots. You don't want there to be atrocious glares. Looks like there's a source coming in from the side as well. That's filling in their shadows, I'm sure, is what they were doing. Because you can see right, well, no, that's probably from the bounce of the carpet. But they have something there. It might be a window. It might just be the natural window. You can see the back of her legs. The side of her legs are getting lit, and I'm guarantee you that's what that source is. All right, moving on. Oh my gosh. All right, so fantastic. They have a, you see how soft this, are you gonna freaking do the thingy? All right, see how soft these shadows are? This is a very soft source up there. Yes, this is dark and it's sharp, but that's because the edge is so close to the bottom. It's just it's always going to be sharper whenever you're closer to the floor. Her body is not so close to the floor, and it is quite fuzzy, which means they have a top source, and because you don't see it very much up here, that means they have flagged it at least a little bit off the background. That doesn't mean the skirt came all the way down, because I don't think it did. You can still see it on the curtains, but because you don't see it on the front of her, which means it's not front light. It's this stuff is coming from the top. Okay, so this. Oops, what are you doing? Stop. What are you doing? This is coming from this top light, because it is not coming down here. No, that's not what it's doing. And you see all of these shadows. Holy crap, if you were to do that today, you would get fired. How do they get away with that? I know I said this was a good commercial, but by their standards at that time, it's got to be. Oh wow, I could show you more. Commercials, your memory of commercials back in the day are very romantic, but they are not an accurate representation of the way things were rendered back then. So, geez, it's just so dark. It's so unflattering. So how would you do that today? Well, kill that top light. Why? Two reasons. Again, it's not pretty. It's soft, but it's not pretty. It's not flattering. All that shadow on the face. Two, or on the body or in the product. Two, It's not natural. Since when do ceilings glow and the rest of the world does not? What should glow is windows. So windows glow. Now they poked a really big light up there because that's competing with these windows. And yeah, you're still blown out up there. But these trees, they're not blown out at all. This one, you know what? That's getting hit by sun. It's still, they're poking like a 9K up in there or something. Whew. I would say that's probably a 9K, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because you don't know their stock. You don't know you just don't know. But I would say, judging from the exposure here, that's probably a 9K, and it's soft. What is poking through? I don't know. I would say that I would have bounced it, like take a light and just go bounce, and then you have some skirts to keep it from going into the background. That's probably what I would do. Otherwise, you would have to do a hell of a lot of rigging to put a light up here just to shoot down. And then you'd have to be far enough away from the diffusion in order to fill all of it. Or you'd have to double break it. And so it's just so much easier just to set up and then bounce, because this thing can be held by, I wouldn't say lightweight stands, but not a scaffolding, whatever you call it, scaffolding, whatever. Anyway, holy crap. Now that okay, it's just a shot. That's a shot. There's that. Oh, yeah, you can see it really well. You see that right there? You got a little square going on, square action. Oh, wow, there's a square right there. So either it's the same shot or it's I don't know. You got a fill card right here. You have a fill card on the other side. So that's doing that, because you can see it right there. You see how the eye is like a slit right here. You can see there's a slit right there. That's a card. And you can see there's a slit on the other side. But then over here it's bright. So I would say, because only the dark, the center is dark, and then down here is dark. It's so strange. I would say that they got a white card right here, they got a white card right here, they have a white card right here, and then they have a frame with a light, and that's what your source is. And that's what's creating this this brightness on the nose and right there. But that's been softened a lot. It's been softened a lot. It's not that bright. So this over here is pretty sourcey as well. This side is pretty sourcey as well. Whatever. It's not like you're going to try to recreate this. We both know it's not that pretty. But at least they treated the left and the right side. It sucks that they did the underneath, but hey, it's not powered. Do you see how much darker it is? But also, do you see that they needed to do that in order to lift the frickin' skin to a reasonable level? Modern sensors will do that for you, no problem. It's not, you don't need to do that anymore. So the whole my point is the whole white card under the face thing. You don't need to do that anymore. And beauty, they still do it. We might cover a beauty commercial like later, not right now, but obviously, but yeah, I still have my thoughts on that. You can do without it. And but anyway, that's what they did here. They have a source on one side, white cards, and the bottom one is not powered. Moving on. Ooh, okay, and so we're at the end. So again, we have a toppy source here. I have no idea what size. It might be a 6x6 or maybe an 8x8. Hard to tell, but you can see right up here how this is dark. All of this is dark, but then you have some brightness right there. So this is spill from the light, either from the from the frame source or from the light. And I'm not sure which one. I want to say, yeah, I don't know. But that means that you have your frame, and then they flagged it off. Which you can do with duvetine. You just clip the duvetine to the frame, and then it'll act, and it'll just shoot. It shoots down, obviously, and then it'll shoot as far as the angle, furthest angle to the edge of this would allow it, which would be somewhere around this area. Is where actually it's getting lit up here. So this is actually a little bit shorter, but you know, it's just a representation. Holy crap! Don't shoot me. And you can see the bags under the eyes, even though they're blurry AF. They're freaking dark dots, okay? Don't do this, okay? Don't do this. Push from the side. It'll give you two great advantages. One, it'll be a natural source because windows come from the side, right? And make them long also. Oh yeah. And make sure that they wrap. Don't just go in straight line. Make them wrap. So instead, do this, and then you have a thing like this, and then you can go this way, right? You can go this way. What does that mean? What kind of source should you put in there? Oh, you could bounce really easy. This is why I bounce all the time. Hey, you just bounce. Oh, you just filled up all of this stuff with very little effort or gear. Alternatively, you can just make it a wall, and then just have a light poking into that as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So the benefit is it's a window. It acts like a window. That's number one. Number two, the eyes can see it. And so it lifts up the eyes, but it also becomes a catch light for the eye because the eye can see it. And then you won't have these dark dots, and you won't have a dark freaking, look at all that darkness underneath the product. Oh my gosh. There you go. And that's that. I think we have one more shot. Why would I want to show you? This one is super easy, man. They just have a side source, and looks like, holy crap, they actually filled. They have surrounded it with a wall of white. You can see, because you can see how cloudy this is. There's white there. No, there's black. So how did they get that cloudy? Maybe it's just cloudy to begin with. Maybe it's just gray. Whatever. Oh my gosh, it's literally black. Whew. All right, and is that it? Again, this is not how you should do it. This is how they did do it, and how we can do it a lot better. And so this shot right here is okay because there's a sunlight. There is a sunlight out here, and they've placed one there. And so it's just a hard light, and it's going right over here. Boom, 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 boom. And it's hitting a little bit of this, hitting a little bit of that. It's hitting this. Is that lit up? If it is lit up, you can't tell. It better not be lit up. Don't light up lamps in the middle of the day, not unless they're in a dark corner. That's my thoughts on the matter. Or you could do it, and it's dealer's choice, right? But so they have that. So they have that little hard light, and then it's probably this bounce here is what's filling in her face. But if not, then they've added something over here to do that, like a 6x6 ultra bounce or whatever, some white cards. I don't think ultra flops existed at the time. Okay, so that is that. How would I do this now? I wouldn't. I think I already told you how I could do it, and at this point, I'm not gonna show you how to recreate this because I don't want you to recreate it. I want you to do better. I'm not making fun of them. It's simple. It's simple reality that stuff that older technology at an older time was different, and now it's a lot different. It's a lot more. I don't want to say refined. Refined is a horrible word. It's not a horrible word. It's great. But we have more latitude is my point. So I hope you got something out of this, and if you enjoyed it, I hope you can appreciate the tools that we have now, because you have it so much better now than what they had back then. I hope you got something out of this, and be sure to subscribe if you want more of this, because I'm going to be popping it out. And if you have any suggestions on something for me to look at, what if you did that? What if you left that in the comments? All right, peace.